Kia ora and welcome to KLTV. In news this week, Northlands air ambulance is compromised. We catch up with Dargaville's Mr Entertainment of yesteryear and talk to current entertainers, the Laughing Jamaicans. A proposed review of funding could threaten the Northland Emergency Services Trust, which operates the region's air ambulance. A reassessment of funding for emergency services is one of several issues raised in Northland Regional Council's new 10-year plan. Under the proposed system, all emergency services would have to apply for funding on a contestable basis. This means that any future funding would be at the sole discretion of Council, not ratepayers. Any people interested in making a submission to Council about proposals under the draft long-term plan can do so before 3 p.m. on April 25. For more information, see the NRC and Nest websites. Back in the 1970s and 80s, the name Gary Burnett was synonymous with entertainment in Dargaville. To a certain age group, any mention of the Gold Room or the Cameo Lounge will bring back great memories of a bygone era. We caught up with Gary earlier today. Kia ora Gary, and thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.
You had entertainers like Sir Howard Morrison, Billy T. James, Dave Dobbin perform at your venues. It's quite an impressive lineup, but can you tell us who drew the biggest crowd?
Dave Dobbin.
Dave Dobbin?
That's a bit scary. Yeah, Dave Dobbin.
That's a bit scary, isn't it?
Well, we went way over our numbers that night. We were allowed on the premises, but we couldn't stop them coming in the door, so yeah, it was a big night.
So when you say you went way over your numbers, what sort of numbers are we talking about?
Well, when I got my first liquor licence, it was restricted to how many diners you could have per square metres of carpet, and we measured up every inch of carpet to manage to get 263 was our limit. But that night we stopped counting at about 400, I think, 480. But they were going to come in anyway. They were coming through the toilet windows and over the door that night, so it was something worthwhile to put it on, but we managed it somehow.
I believe you've got a funny story about Billy T. James?
When I was at the Cameo one day and I was just talking to a guy after work, it was a landlord actually, and the phone rang, and I just excused myself, went to answer the phone, and this guy on the end of the phone say, "Oh, is that the Cameo Lounge?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, is Billy T. James here?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." Because my mates should have me on all of them.
Pranks.
Yeah. And I said, "Oh, yeah, what do you want?" And he said, "Oh, I heard you got a place up there I can come to, man." And I said, "What do you mean? What do you want to do?" He said, "Oh, I'll come and sing up there." I said, "Oh, when do you want to come?" He said, "Well, I don't know." And he says, I said, "Well, how much do you cost?" He said, "Well, I don't know." And I said, "Oh, well, what do you want to do?" He said, "Oh, I just heard you had a good venue up there to come and play at." I said, "Yeah, we can seat about 260 people." "Oh, great." He says, "Yeah, I'll bring my cousins and we'll come up there and play." I said, well, first of all, how much?" "I don't know," he says.
And for the full Cameo Lounge feature, you can visit the Kaipara Lifestyler website. As we've mentioned earlier on KLTV, the Dargaville Community Cinema Trust has launched a Northland-wide short film competition. This week we catch up with local filmmaker and KLTV cameraman Dylan Hanson. Together with his production group, the Laughing Jamaicans, he has high hopes of replicating last year's win. Kia ora Dylan, now we have you on this side of the camera. Can you tell us who are the Laughing Jamaicans?
It's basically a group of friends of mine. We're all quite passionate about film and thought we'd try and make some of our own, so that's what we've been doing for the last few years.
How did you come together?
Through media studies at school, well, not all of us, but most of us took media studies, and the rest of us were interested but couldn't fit it into class schedule. And yeah, we just took what we learned at school outside of school and kept it going.
What sort of productions do you make?
They vary. We always like to try new things. Mostly comedy stuff, or at least we think it's funny. Varies in length. Some of our shorter stuff is a minute long, some of the long stuff's 15 minutes, so there's a bit of everything, or at least we like to think there's a bit of everything, so yeah.
Can you tell us more about last year's film and what the win meant for you?
Last year's film was, we'd entered the 2 years before that, and we had made a film called Legend Busters, and then the next year we did a sequel, and the feedback was positive, but what we kept hearing was people wanted us to see, well, they wanted to see us try something new, so we went with, because that was sort of a action-y sort of thing, because we're all into action, and so we tried a slightly dark comedy in places, but we tried something new and that turned out really well, so yeah, it was proving that we could do different things and still do them good, I guess. That was more what that was for us.
Have you got any advice for younger filmmakers who are hoping to enter this year's competition?
Practice and keep making things. It's very easy to start a project and then give up. Like, we've done it before, but you find quite often if you just keep going, they turn out alright, so just keep making them.
Thanks, Dylan, for joining us today. And you can check out last year's winning film on the Kaipara Lifestyler website. And that is KLTV News for this week. We'd love to hear from you and value your feedback. I'm Joanne Speechley. Ka kite anō.